Vermintide 2. Today, that's what we're going to speak about, but not the entire game of Vermintide 2. We're going to be talking about the DLC, the weave system. So, for this particular trophy, you've got to go from weave 1 to weave 80. You can take breaks in between. You can fail. You will fail many times. As long as you complete all weaves. All 80 weaves. So here is the story of the weave. We did not know the journey was going to be this long. This game broke many of our wills. But we did it in the end. And is that the most satisfying thing that we did? Probably not. But let's talk about weaves. So, Vermintide 2 is a great game. The Weave DLC is not. What they expect you to do is to play a co-op game without matchmaking. So you need a party of 4. Ideally 4 for the lot of the weaves. They are not possible solo. They're not possible with a party of 2. You may be able to do some with 3, but the vast majority and the highest success rate is a party of 4 people who know what they're doing. So, the weaves. You need to complete 2 areas, so it's not just the 1 area. 2 levels. These can vary between doing specific objectives or just killing enough people to fill a bar. The premise is to fill a bar with enough essence, and then you can proceed to the second area where you've just got to kill everyone. That might spawn like sort of horde mode. Okay. So, you've got a cast of 5 playable characters, a dwarf that was never there, a wizard that would set fire to places that aren't reachable, an elf that was there before time, and the other 2 characters. A bearded man that shouts at rats, and a character that no one really chose. So, each mission has different mutators. You could either have like invisible enemies, enemies that would fire revenge bullets at you, and lightning strikes that would happen periodically. Those are the sort of things you might experience within the missions, and then the missions would vary from carrying barrels from A to B, killing enough people, carrying crystals from A to B, and then the other one was to stand in areas for periods of time, so defend your position. And each of those would contribute to the essence bar, along with kills, of course, and some would just be kills. So, there's why was it so difficult? Okay, so apart from what we mentioned at the start, the co-op feature and needing to play with 4 people, the weaves would get progressively harder and on higher difficulties. So, the first 40 of them you could get through if you know what you're doing and you're comfortable with the team and the characters that you're working with. Each has their own strengths. But the game would get progressively harder and unfair. So, you would have weaves 40 to 80, or maybe 50 to 80, depending, and that would just get ridiculously hard. So they'd throw all the specials at you. So the assassins, that would take usually 1 character out per level, and sort of isolate that character, so it promotes co-op. You stick together as a team, you survive better. You sort of cannonball it. But they would send 3 or 4 of those, each isolating a character and then just sort of wiping out the team, and then mix them in with a horde of rats, so you can't pick them out and take them out, isolate them. So it would make it very hard, sort of retreat and try and get a position where you can hunker down in a nice safe position. But then, with saying all that, you could get in these positions and hunker down. You might be safe, but you're not making progress, are you? So another part of the weave system is the time limit. The time limit is 15 minutes for the first half, and whenever you complete that first half, you get an extra 5 minutes on top. So 20 minutes in total. You need to fill the essence bar, which, as you imagine, would get progressively harder as you went through these levels, the weaves from 0 to 80, and you'd have to kill more enemies, do the objectives, and you'd have to do them quicker on a harder difficulty as well. So each adding to the difficulty of the system. Not only the specials, but you'd also have bosses thrown at you as well. And during the main game, the bosses, they come at one time, maybe a few rats on top of that, but you'd only fight one. Not in the weaves. You'd fight multiple of them, some at the same time, some, with a full horde of rats on top of that as well. So making it hard to, let me just pick off all the horde, and then we can all quadra team the boss, sort of kite it and take aggro and stuff like that to make sure that you're going to get a clean boss kill. But that's impossible if you've got a horde of rats all spawning. Even if you take them out, more spawn in, and then you've got the specials on top of that. So it makes it difficult. It makes it very difficult to keep on top of and still make enough progress to proceed. But we did it in the end, and I'll tell you a little bit about how we did it. So we each had a character that we, you play a game for 150 hours, you learn how to play that character. You play a game 300 hours, you'll learn how to play that character. So my character was the elf, the Carillion elf, and basically my job was to be the sort of a tank, but also a healer. So I had the shield and the spear. I would bash the horde of rats away, get a few hits in with my spear, long range weapon, and then also pick off the specials with my bow and arrow to keep the team safe. Carillion also had the dash ability that I was able to dash in when my teammates go down, revive them up really quick, because that's my passive as well, and keep people in the game and keep the game progressing. Also doing objectives as well, getting the barrel, dashing in past the horde of rats, and then just throwing the barrel in, trying to progress that essence bar to get to the second round. Then you had Sienna. During that horde of rats, when Carillion is keeping them off with a shield, basically set fire to them, damage over time, area of damage attacks, to basically throw in the fire, let them all trickle down with the health, make it easier pickings for the other people. Also, being able, still got that dash, maybe not quite the revive ability, but in case the Carillion goes down, helps picking up the Carillion, helps with movement, staying away from the hordes as well. but also being a really good point of damage for bosses, being able to just take a lot of damage to them and basically kill them before they kill us. So on top of that, we had the who did we have? We had the dwarf. So Marcus, another shield guy. Basically, he's the tank. He takes the aggro of the horde with Carillion and bashes the hordes away with shields again. So sort of a 2 shield function, and then you have the Sienna and the 4th character Baden in the back, just taking down the horde one rat at a time, whilst the 2 in the front takes the aggro, takes the damage on. So the dwarf, very good, the dwarf, because he could go invisible for periods of the game, maybe all the game, but the dwarf is able to control the hordes, keep the team alive, so you can progress through the mission and often be the last man surviving to revive people to help with that essence and make it to that second area. So the second area, it's a lot easier actually, and I wish the game was just the second area. It was sort of a small area, horde like. Rats come in, you might have a few bosses and specials, and then once you've killed everything, you win. And it's simple and often fair, you know. And not too, like, you can't waste 20 minutes and then lose, because it's just usually 5 minutes and you're done. So if they had any way to improve that, you just have the second area and it'd be fine. So usually the second area, it would just be either take down a few hordes in waves or a few bosses in waves. Simple. And that was sort of our experience with the weaves. It was difficult. It's one of the most difficult things we've done in a while. It was long, but we got there in the end, and we couldn't have done it without all 4 of us firing on all cylinders. And you know, there were periods we were stuck on weaves 2 or 3 hours at a time, and then we'd go on our momentum streaks where we just, everything would click, everyone would be on top form, and we'd make it through the mission. And you know, the signs of good co-op games, you know, and it would promote teamwork, no one running off on their own, and good communication, and that's part of the game that I like. But when you even implement that, and all team, you know, your teammates are working well, communicating well, but they still fail, that's when you've got the problems. That's what makes it a bad mode. And unfortunate that was the case a lot of the time. We'd fail because not necessarily our fault. We'd all work together well, and we'd just run out of time, or we'd be killed off by enemies that we couldn't ever kill. So that was the weaves. We'll move on to a different game. We'll see what that game is, but till next time, peace.